anyone wants to follow along, the dialogue tree for main quest 2 is in the Lore Bible, folks. I'll give everyone the link for the command in chat. There we go. That'll take you to the home page. So main quest 1's here. Main quest 2 is here. And the first playable build, which as you can see, that's what we're working on. Up there, right in the top corner, says that. It's going to contain just the first and second main quest. That's all it's going to be. Very, very much a basic demo build. Episode 1, we're planning 6 main quests altogether. I think it's a nice number that kind of allows us to kind of follow the three act structure to some degree. And so main quest 1 and 2 are like the first act. That's kind of how I see it. Main quest 3 and 4 will be the second, and 5 and 6 will be the third act, the climax, and tying up all those endings, the resolution of the episode. Fun time. So yes, main quest 1 and 2 are like pretty much set in stone. We decided a long time ago what was going to happen in those scenes. Main quest 3 onwards is still, well, we have a little idea how things are going to unfold, but there's a lot of gaps to fill in along the way. So it'll be fun. I'm intending to hopefully get a few more streams in soon where we can chat about main quest 3 onwards, because I want to get an outline planned before we jump in and start implementing the other main quests. And there won't be any implementing of those until the first playable build's tidied all up and done and dusted. Oh yeah, I have been dead yesterday. I was watching at ReZero. Did you give a read to the store? You mean the story, Storm Raven? Damn, you put it in the creative work channel, didn't you? And but you know me, my list of things to do was endless, Storm. But thanks for reminding me. If I do get round to it, I'll have a little peek. Definitely. Thanks for sharing that. It's always good to see people posting in that channel. But you've been dead, yes. I've been kind of dead too, because of, well, I've had quite a few late nights recently, and I'm going to try and be good and go to sleep a little bit earlier from now on. Gotta look after yourself after all. So yes, here we are. So main quest 1 is all here, and main quest 2 is here. And we zoomed in a bit on this one because we were working on it, and I've added a little bit more since last time we've done this. So you can follow, if you look at the Lore Bible, you can see how the scene unfolds. It begins, as you can see, it's pretty long. It's the second scene on here, where you've got this super long branch that you see going across. The one above it is the first scene of this quest, and I've almost finished it now. I'm just kind of writing the action scene, so that's something I'm thinking about, how to kind of show action scenes unfolding on these dialogue trees. So we'll look at that in a sec. But as you can see with this scene, it's all very linear compared to some of the other scenes so far, and that's because it's a flashback scene. There's no hero choices to be made in this scene here, because it's a flashback, and it's just a moment where we get to find out more about Carol and her kin. In fact, I'm going to call it that, Carol and her, or family, maybe. Family's a good generic word. Sleepy, you're sleepy too, Timmy. Yeah, planning everything out and figuring an outline is a pretty good thing. It is. Like, I remember when we first started this project, my approach was very different. It was more do it as we go along kind of approach. That was how it was. And I kind of had it like that so that we could keep it fun and casual without it getting too intense. But obviously as time has gone on, I've become more passionate about the project and more serious about it. I mean, we got a Steam page now, that says it all, doesn't it? I mean, back in the early days, I never even thought it would get there. I just thought it was going to be some bit of fun, very silly game that wasn't going to like lead to anything big. But of course that changed. I realised that, yeah, I'm actually going to spend my life doing this. So, you know, I want to go all out. It takes up a lot of my time and I'm really enjoying it. It has potential, so let's go all out. But by the way, the Steam page isn't out yet. It's not public yet, folks. I obviously applied. I submitted the game to Steam and it is on there, but only I can see it at the moment. But when it is ready, of course, I'll show you all when the time comes. And having a good night's sleep is a hard thing than trying to do a lot of stuff or something productive. Yeah, I get very carried away, and I feel like I just don't want to go to sleep when I'm in the zone and I'm doing it. I just want to carry on for hours. Hi Rod, how are you doing? How's your week been? Okay, I mean, considering it's December, I don't feel very Christmassy. I should have put my deer ears on today, shouldn't I? Because I've got some rose reindeer ears. I love it. Perfect cosplay for me, rose reindeer. I'll probably wear them at some point. That's good, glad to hear. We haven't got our Christmas tree up yet or any like really Christmassy decorations. That's probably why. But hopefully we will soon. One sec. I'm paranoid that I've not muted my stream. Oh, it is muted, I'm fine. Sometimes I get paranoid, especially when I've got Twitch open in a tab. I'm like, oh no, does that mean I've got my stream not on mute? And then the voice of mine is coming out twice. Luckily that's not the case. In the past it has been though. Same as usual. Have you got your Christmas tree, Rod? So today, as we were saying, this is a flashback scene, so it's pretty linear. It's an opportunity to find out a bit more about the characters and their little friendships. And there's a bit of lore and foreshadowing filtered into this as well. Okay, so this is where it suddenly turned into an action scene. There is some commotion outside. Suddenly the cart starts shaking. The group panic. So generally I use green boxes, like another colour, to show that there's something happening, and it's not dialogue. So I use another colour box to show that it's not dialogue. But when it involves a character, I've decided I'm going to just use their dialogue box, but put it in italics and in grey, because otherwise the green box would be like super long. It'd be like that, which is fine. But imagine when we get to some really detailed battle scenes or any kind of action scene in a future scene, and we've got no dialogue for ages, and it could get a bit too much if it's a character action. This is kind of how I'm going to approach doing the action scenes. It was sort of like that in the opening scene, because I wanted to show Carol hiding and panicking in this scene, so I did it here as well. And I've kind of been doing that throughout. I've kind of been using italics and grey text to show that the character's doing something. Nope, just enjoying cider. That's all. Cider's a good one. It's been a while since I've had that, because I'm more of a wine person and a spirits person. I think I used to be a cider person. I used to be. But it made me bloated. But I still like it. I do like it, especially in the summer. Oh, I want some cider. Oh yeah, there's a bit of an extra donation bar's gone up a bit for the funds. My dad has given me an early Christmas present. He put some towards it. I've got really nice parents that want to like sort of help me with my project, and that's really sweet. I'm lucky. Even though they don't really understand the game or the characters or anything like that, they're still supportive. And I'm going to do grocery shopping soon, but wanted to say hi. Hope you stay warm and have a pleasant evening overall. Thank you, Rod, and I hope you get some good groceries. Get some Christmas yummy cakes and cider and all the nice things. I'm just really in a snacky mood. I am. I want to pig out this month. Have all the Christmassy things because we can't. Because of like COVID and stuff, it's going to feel a little bit weird. I mean, we usually don't go out anyway, but we do have family over, so we got to make up for it, haven't we, by having lots of snacks. Hi Rose, hi Zava, how you doing? It's so good to see you. Hope you're well. Okay, so here's where the action begins. As we were saying, I was like having to think about how to handle action scenes when we did the dialogue trees, because this is just probably going to be the first of many action scenes in the game. This is like the first real one we've had so far. Just give a summary of what the action scene is. It's a hijacking. The cart that the barrels are on gets hijacked. It was a really ambitious scene to pull off scene wise as well. I've already done it. It's already done. I do have to redo it though for the new tiled map, the actual scene, and put it in the new project, a fresh new project, but it's all just a copy and paste job of the old scene really, so it's not like I'm really doing it all over again. But I'm not going to do all the scene work stuff until we're happy with the dialogue, because otherwise, if we realise we want to change something or edit something, it'll all get a bit messy. So I always think, do the scenes when you're sure the dialogue's ready. Pardon me. Because we have made a couple of adjustments to this scene dialogue-wise, we thought actually should probably say that instead, or that should just have that word change, which is fine because this is expected when we kind of make revisions and look over the game. So it ends really nicely. It's all wholesome with Oliver, Hank and Elvira. Elvira even smiles. And I kind of liked that. I liked the idea of ending the scene with them being all happy. But then some commotion and panic sets in. It's kind of that contrast of moods between, being all happy and with the family, and then all of a sudden something happens. So there is some commotion outside. Suddenly the cart starts shaking, the group panic. Carol falls and starts rolling towards Oliver. Hank jumps in front of Oliver. Carol crashes into Hank, accidentally rolling out the cart. Now this action scene was very much set in stone a while back, and basically it's the reason why Hank becomes disabled. Some of you might have noticed there's a couple of different variations of his avatar. In one, he's just normal elderly man barrel, and in the other he's the same, but he's got a sad face and a hole in him. Pretty sad. I don't know, I forgot which one's on the Law Bible now, but basically it was decided from the beginning that Hank was going to be a barrel with a hole in him, and we always wondered how he was going to get that hole in him, and we knew it was going to happen quite early on. So we sort of decided it's going to be Carol. Carol is going to be the one that caused the hole, but obviously by accident. It's not Carol's fault. It was out of her control. She was rolling. Poor barrels. They when they roll, that's just it. They can't do anything else. They don't have the arms and legs to stop. So, of course, it was originally going to be Oliver that she was going to roll into. Originally, I was just going to say, we'll just have it be Hank. But the community kind of chipped in and were like, it'd be more tragic if it was Oliver. But Hank himself jumps in front of Oliver. It's like sacrifices himself. And it kind of shows as well that as a character, Hank is he cares, It gives, really, you can't get much more obvious of what a kind man Hank is for doing that with it to Oliver. And then she rolls out the cart, and that's how she gets separated from them, because she is rolling out the cart, whereas the other barrels are still on the cart, so they ride away with the hijacker, the kidnapper, and Carol's just left outside on her own on the floor looking into the distance. There's still a fair bit more to write here, though. We're not done. This isn't the end of the flashback yet. I should get up the character little boxes we did the last stream. No, the stream before last stream. Here it is. Here we are. So, yeah, we said that Hank is very vulnerable. He's also unfortunate and very fatherly, kind. It's very Hank to want to protect his family and put himself... we did say he's cautious, and I think generally he would be. He wouldn't be willing to jump into danger at all. He's very different to Axel, who would jump into danger. But when it comes to something as severe as that, Oliver's life and getting smashed, of course he would. It just adds a lot of layers, because one, Carol doesn't realise that she did this to Hank, because she already rolled out the cart and didn't notice the consequences of what she'd done. As well as Hank, would he hold that against Carol for doing that to him? Like, how would he feel about that? I thought about putting a personality type on here to each of these characters. Carol's an ENTJ, isn't she? Yeah. Because these little boxes, I'm going to see them as the thing we look over when we want to quickly remind ourselves about what a character's like, what makes them unique and distinct from everyone else. I'm going to do this for every single NPC to a certain degree that enters the story. Only the barrels, though, we have so far. So if anyone has any opinions on what personality type the others would be, feel free to chime in. It's definitely something to think about. I definitely think Meryl's extroverted and so is Woody. Elvira and Hank are probably more introverted, perhaps. Oliver, he's probably... He could go either way. We'll keep this there in case we realise there's more common phrases that they use. Okay, so we're going to finish off this scene. Get the action scene all done, and that's really how the flashback concludes. There's no dialogue happening. Oh, there is a bit of dialogue actually. There's a bit of panic, so maybe I need to get those, and it's not all just action, I've realised. But when we've done the action scene, because we are very close to finishing the scene now, we've got the last 3 scenes of Main Quest 2 to get in the Lore Bible. And the very last one hasn't even been done yet. So that's a scene that we can write together at some point. But we also need to revisit the very first scene as well, because Vanderly had a really cool idea last stream that I kind of got very attached to, about Naked Hero. Yeah, if you weren't here, you're going to be confused right now, but it's a good one. So if we get time, we'll have a look over that and see if we can fit that in somewhere. But we'll finish this first. Okay. So this is the very, very old. This is where we had all the scenes. This is the messy document, which we will be throwing in the bin once we've finished. But this is where all our ideas are of the scene. We did that a long time ago. Now, I was thinking of something else, because although this scene doesn't have any hero choices in it, so it's not like we can, where are we here? In our outline here, we usually have arrows coming off the scene with what the choices were, as a way for us to remember and get a quick reminder of every single choice in the game without forgetting. Because it's kind of dangerous, I feel, to not do something like that. This, I'll admit, I've forgot many times what some of the choices were, so it's a really good way to keep track. But yes, the Carol flashback scene itself doesn't have any choices because of it being a flashback. But what it does have is bits of foreshadowing and lore. And you know me, if you know me by now, chat, I don't have dialogue in scenes for the sake of it, for no reason. There's a reason why they're talking about the things they're talking about. And maybe we're going to need reminding of that as well. So I was thinking we could have just a section, another box that kind of is a reminder of a lore thing that got mentioned in the scene. And eventually I'd love to make some World Anvil lore Bible articles for certain things. We've already kind of got started on the stars section, but it's unfinished. Eventually I'd like to expand that and have like a list of myths about the afterlife and all that kind of thing as well, and really flesh the lore Bible out. And yeah, there'll be certain things that are left unsaid that remain a mystery, of course, but it definitely still needs a filling out. So what would we do for that? Okay, so because otherwise it's going to be very, very easy to forget that certain lore got mentioned, and then you just forget as a writer, and then it becomes pointless having it in there. So to stop us forgetting, what I think we could do, I mean, I was thinking of highlighting lore terms in another colour to make them stand out, but that could be a bit confusing. So instead of that, I'm going to just look through and add them to the outline without editing any of this perhaps. So, I mean, it said itself. Here it is. So this is a summary of what happens in the flashback scene. The family had been enjoying a conversation about stars before the wagon was hijacked. So it doesn't really go into what the conversation was, but there was lots of little bits and foreshadowing bits that did get mentioned. So what colour box should we use for this then? Because I want it to blend nicely with the rest. Ooh, I know, because we've been using a brown colour, so we could use that. I'm making it all match with the current colour schemes for episode 1. stars with a box. That's going to be very confusing. We've got to add some context to this. So, let me think of a good heading for this box. I guess I could simply just title it Lore. We might not need the box to be that wide. Okay, so is there any... I know that we talked about stars, but... Oh, it's typo. Yeah, it's really just the stars thing, and we got 3 different stories going on. We got one story from Carol, one story from Meryl / Axel, and one story from Hank about how things are. So really, there's nothing, that's the key thing, so I think we could just have that as that. And in the future, if there's ever a scene that it has a lot of lore or foreshadowing bits, we can sort of approach in the same way and just do a box just explaining what it was that was talked about so we don't forget. In fact, we'll put this side. Because now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, we won't put it that far. Now I'm thinking about it, I like just the choices and variables that affect your affinity and morals with people on the right hand side, and yet things like information regarding what quest is unlocked and who joins the party and lore should probably go on the left. I think it's probably more organised like that. So yay! We could even put a cute emoji of stars next to this. Maybe. We definitely need an emoji for lore. So, scroll. Yeah, the line height looks a bit strange, but I won't fuss over that for now. We'll just leave that. Okay. Awesome. So let's finish the action scene then. But there's so much that comes off, even though we've just got the stars as the law, there's so much. We could make a whole Law Bible article on it. And one day we will. Just time consuming. Okay, so we could literally just take what's in here to describe what happens in the action scene. As the hijacker sped off, Carol found started running towards Oliver, which we've maybe saw here. Can jump behind Oliver to protect him. Oh, not in front then, behind. Carol crashed in tank instead. And rolls out of the wagon. And lands outside on the ground with a thud, and then she'll witness Rose. Okay, so I need to open there's a scene. The hijacking scene has a little bit of dialogue in it in the action, so I'm going to just remind myself what that dialogue was. We get some scrolling down to do because I could just open RPG Maker and look, but it was the old project file and I don't want to open that, so I know I did a screenshot Saturday of that scene, so it's going to be here somewhere. Here. Mute it though. Okay. Meryl says what's happening, because I think we didn't originally have a plan to put dialogue in the hijacking, but it felt it broke up the fast pace a little bit, because otherwise you just kind of, everything just happens all at once and then you're like, okay. So you kind of still need to break things up to a certain degree. Hi Bob, how are you doing? Welcome to stream and thank you for the follow. I love your name. Sparkle Beard. A sparkling beard. How awesome is that? How are you today? Welcome to the stream. So when does, let's just remind ourselves when the moment Meryl says that the, okay, so it's actually the first, it actually happens first that Meryl says that before Carol even starts rolling towards Oliver. So I'm going to just move these across. In fact, just to make it easier on ourselves, we'll just copy and paste a Meryl dialogue box. It's been a while since she spoke, which is why, in a way, I wanted her to be the one to speak. But also because it fit for her personality to be the one that's probably freaking out here. Considering she's a little bit more loud and... Okay. Oops, I think we got the sound on. But this was a very ambitious scene to pull off for RPG Maker, I have to say. There were so many hacks, so many things I did to pull off the hijacking, and I was really happy with it. I want my scene work to continue being ambitious. Isn't Sparklebeard a cool name? I have to say, we get some people with really cool names coming this stream. I keep missing that dialogue with Meryl. Okay, so Meryl says that. You can't really see that clearly because Twitter's awful for optimization sometimes, but their expressions on their face change. Woody looks very disturbed. Okay, so Carol's the next one speaking. She actually tells Oliver to move, which makes sense, rather than her just rolling and saying nothing. She would want to protect him, and that kind of would be... I timed it so the moment that Carol says that, Oliver move, Hank actually looks at Carol, he turns around, looks at Carol, jumps, and that's the moment he jumps behind Oliver. Because otherwise, why would he have known that Carol was rolling? It would have been too late. So it kind of just fit more to have all that happen. So Oliver move, we'll get this in. So does she say it when she falls or as she falls? Okay, so it's kind of like this. Falls over, and then she starts rolling towards Oliver. So let's just break this up. So because it's not an action, we're gonna make it black. Okay, so I broke it up on different lines just because obviously it doesn't all happen at once, it happens one after the other. So I think it's probably a good way to do action scenes. So Hank does notice, so we could do with I mean, we don't have to get all fuss pot about this and describe every single character movement, because I haven't in the other scenes, because it can get a bit much. But I do think it would be cool, especially when planning and writing dialogue, to consider character movements and actions, because then when it comes to implementing the scenes and doing the scene work, it kind of just makes things a bit easier when we've already planned it. But sometimes you have to do the scene first before you realise you need an action. Because we didn't realise this at the start, that it needed this. It was only when I started the scene that I thought, actually, hang on, we could do with making Hank turn around to actually notice that Carol fell over. Like, he'd hear the thud. The second Carol thuds on the ground, Hank then turns around and notices. Your name is awesome. My name is awesome. Why, thank you. And what software are you using? Is this RPG Maker Envy? This is actually Draw.io. What we're doing the dialogue and story outlining, just because I'm not one to just rely on the engine for my tool. I like to do all my planning externally rather than just enter everything in the engine. I like to get everything planned, written up as dialogue trees and flyers, and then when that's done, get it in the engine then, rather than go into the engine blank. But everybody's different, everybody's their own approach for things. I experimented with RPG Maker for a while, nothing really good. Attempted to do an industrial fantasy RPG, lots of experimentation. It was fun for a while. Yeah? How come you didn't think it was good? I'm sure it was better than you think. I say keep trying, keep at it. Industrial fantasy sounds really cool though. That sounds like a pretty unique genre. Okay, so it's hard to see on this because the quality's gone a bit dodgy. Okay. Yeah, we can just keep it brief. So, Hank jumps behind over a crash and accidentally rolling out the car. Cool. So we're kind of almost there, but not quite. So the next thing that happens is it's going to be it's really weird looking at Lara's character now when she's a small sprite on this. So there's loads of little things happening. No dialogue, but lots of stuff happening. So we need to get that in. So the Law Bible. I'm not gonna write how everybody's feelings or anything like that. Like, we do have things like Carol didn't realise she made a hole in poor Hank, and Carol watches helplessly, and all the way the characters feel doesn't go on this. That goes on a separate document. That goes on our scene cards. Hey, that's not the scene cards. There, that should be it. Accidentally opened the wrong thing. Okay, so we haven't filled that in yet. It's still blank. Things are going to get filled in by me, probably in the next week or so. But yeah, anything like that, Carol's realises this, that, goes in here. And it's a really good way of surfacing certain things about the scene that you might not initially have realised. So I don't think we've got to do much more in regards to this. I think the main thing we do is we just mention that Rose is here because otherwise we got to make that connection with Rose, because in the previous scene the reason we had the flashback in the first place was because Carol tells you that how she knows Rose. So copy this, and we still got the old Rose sprite on here as well. Eventually that will get updated. I'm going to do everything in one evening or one afternoon at some point. Just update all the Law Bible images with the old sprites and any that need doing on these as well. Did we mention road in this? Yeah, we should have. Yeah, we could get really detailed about this if we wanted to, because it's kind of a quite a bit that happens. But I feel like any detail and character feelings regarding Rose should probably go on the scene card, so we'll just keep it brief on here. Witnesses the car hijacking, jumps on the cart and bites the rider. We could make, I'm thinking of the action scenes, and we could always just keep it more simple rather than long sentences. Crash into and accidentally rolls out the car. It's probably easier to read, in all honesty, if we do it this way. We sort of did that on this scene. I just break it up so each action has a line each. I think that's easier to process. What software are you using to make the RPG game? It looks really well made. Oh, what did you look at? I'm curious now what bits you saw from the game. Did you go on the website? It is RPG Maker. I mean, this is Draw.io, what I use for all my planning, but the actual engine is actually RPG Maker MV, same as you did for your game, funnily enough. What a coincidence. But thank you for the kind words. Appreciate that. And it's, you know, it is RPG Maker MV, but I really go all out with it. I'm kind of ambitious and kind of break the engine as much as I can. That's kind of what I find myself doing a lot. Because I'm no coder, you see. I don't. It would be a very steep learning curve for me to go into an engine like Unity or something like that. And I've grown up with RPG Maker, so it's very nostalgic for me. But I do find it can sometimes be a bit limited as an engine, so I do tend to break it. Okay, so this is a good thing to do though, because I was a bit daunted by the fact there was an action scene coming up, and I thought, how am I going to write that properly in the lore Bible, in the dialogue branches on the lore Bible? Because I didn't do it before properly. I kind of just had them all in these red boxes here, and it was a mess. So it's interesting. I guess I'm trying to approach it like a script, I suppose, but I can't write it like an actual script because there's many dialogue branches in this game. So flowcharts seem to be although there's no branches in this scene because it's a flashback, in a lot of scenes there will be branches, and I think the boxes and flows and arrows work well for that kind of game. There's a lot of that. Fino, thank you so much for that follow. How are you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. I see that I'm using a slightly different colour. It's a slightly lighter grey, which I think is actually probably better to do, to make it a bit lighter so it doesn't look too close in colour to the normal dialogue text, which is black, because then people might get confused what's dialogue and what's an action. I must have done it a light grey like that on purpose, so I don't know why I'm using a darker grey. Oh well. I can always go back and make it tidy later off stream at some point, because we have more juicy things to do on stream today than that. Okay, so we'll say Bite's the hijacker, just to be a bit more specific. She's a vampire, that's why she's biting. Instead of witnesses, we'll just say sees. So there's a lot more intricacies to the Rose part in the scene. She actually sees the original rider on the floor dead, and she kind of looks very sad about that, but it'd be too much detail to put in that, so I'm thinking of writing all that extra information on the actual scene card. And then I think we're close to concluding the scene now. Oh, Sparkle Beard said something else and I didn't notice. I was really into making things look pretty, but the mechanics and text and stuff was really tough. Coding was blah to my brain. Feel ya. You know, game dev is hard because you have to be, you're kind of doing the job of potentially half a dozen people or more, you know. There's a lot, there's a real wide skill set there. And, you know, it usually people, you know, are good at one particular thing. It's hard to be good at everything. So, yeah, I totally get you. Because I'm definitely more for the creative side, for sure. Not so much anything that involves formulas or maths or anything like that. That's where my brain starts to melt. So really, RPG Maker's nice in that way. It's more friendly because it's already all there, already all made, and there's a lot of scripts that are there to use that are already pre-done. So in that regard, it's a lot less daunting than some engines. A lot of my stuff was fun. It was a little scenes in a steampunk city called Aldera. I've said that right, I always butcher pronunciations. Where we were always breaking out, and it was going to be a whole thing where it was an adventure and a military campaign. Sounds fun. Have you ever considered going back to it, or is the project completely, have you put it to the side now? It is a commitment as well, doing a game. It's my full-time job, so I mean, it is a full-time job for me, more than that. It's like 3 full-time jobs with the hours I do, but of course, like, my income is nowhere close to what a job would give, but that's a point, isn't it? You start with little. But it's fun to have goals and dreams. Not while I'm working and going to uni. Yeah, if you've got other things, I can totally get why it wouldn't be a priority. I'm very lucky that where I am in my life, I can commit to this. I'm in a lucky position. As my student days are over, I quit my job. Started streaming. I'm living with my family at the moment, so I don't have the worry about bills and all that kind of thing. I don't have kids, don't have other commitments, so I'm all good. I've got nobody to take care of but myself, and I'm very minimal. Okay, so blood splattered everywhere, the wagon didn't stop. Carol watches the wagon into it. Okay, so I think all we need now is Carol seeing the wagon ride off into the distance. I keep saying wagon and cart. There's a clear difference between a wagon and a cart, right? It says wagon on here, so we'll stick to wagon rather than call it both a cart and a wagon. I think it was originally going to be a cart, you see, but then we decided to have wagon because I think wagon fit more with what we were doing. It looks more like a wagon than a cart. Okay, have we got wagon everywhere? I like to be consistent. But yeah, I spend a lot of time really going over the story, the dialogue, the scenes. I'm very much into planning and perfecting because I like to know it all like the back of my hand. Like, ideally, I'd like to be able to turn this off, this screen, and know exactly how the dialogue goes, like the back of my hand. Like, have it memorised in my head, because I want to understand the characters so well. And every single thing that happens, because then the story's going to be better for it. Okay. Watches the wagon ride off into the distance. Yeah, so that's how we'll do action scenes, I think. Just write what happens, any actions, any movements in italics in a grey colour, and any dialogue in between can go there like we've done it here. And any description that doesn't involve the characters, I do tend to use green boxes. I was nearly going to use that to describe the whole action, but I figured this breaks things up and tells us what each character is doing specifically at each moment in time. But when it's talking about a scene and not a character and kind of something as a whole, then I think it could be appropriate to use a green box, like to describe the scene at first, like the scene description, like this and that. I think it's good to do that first when a scene opens. But I hope it's all like clear and stuff, because obviously there's all these dialogue trees go onto the Lore Bible because it's the way I share them with the community, so everyone knows what's happening. Barrels jumping must be like vegetables from VeggieTales jumping. What's up? Hi Proto Man, how are you doing today? Yeah, when the barrels jump, it's rather sweet, I have to say. Carol does a lot of jumping because she's a very angry Sunday lady. Meryl kind of does as well, but Hank and Alvira are they're a little bit more calm in manner, so they don't tend to jump as much. Okay, are we done? Is the scene done? I mean, who knows, maybe I'll want to change things a bit if any ideas spring to mind with how to write action scenes in the future, because we might find we get a super long one. This is generally a short action scene compared to some we might end up having. But I think that kind of format works for me now. I think it's pretty good. But look how long the scene is now. G-bus. Okay, so very linear scene, no choices due to it being a flashback. It's very, very, informative, lots of character development and introduction going on. Okay, so this, I mean, I've used green boxes here, but this is the hero actions. We could do with using the hero's silhouette on these, I was thinking, but then it could be confusing because we've got a silhouette there. I don't think the hero needs a silhouette, it could just be more confusing than anything. Because obviously if we were going to have a sprite for the hero, we'd have to use a silhouette because they don't have a set in stone appearance because it's a custom hero in our game. And I'm just looking out how this is all done because I want to make sure everything's consistent when we do the scenes. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay. That can get crossed off now. I think we've done. Oh no, we've got the next scene. It's a small scene, the next scene, so I didn't. It's hidden away, but let's do it. The sets for the scene cards, I'm going to cross these off now because I'm going to fill them in another time. It can be quite time consuming and require a bit of focus to think about what can go in the scene cards. But we're going to get scene 8 in now. There's going to be a few little things to discuss though, and a few potential additions that might need to go here, which we'll talk about now. I hope you're having a good day, Protoman. Did I ask? I hope I did. What? Okay. So We could do with doing that. I just realised we've got a flashback begins part here, so we should have a flashback ends here. Have you ever thought about storylising scenes before you go to sleep? Sometimes I'll do it to figure out when I'm stuck. I also found out that there was a Marvel comic book writer in the 80s that did the same thing. Oh, Proto, I never stop thinking. It's a 24/7 thing for me. My mind is always like that. All the time. And it's all jumble in my head. That makes no sense usually. But then I sit down and get them all out, get all those thoughts out when necessary. But yes, I think that's a very normal thing for creative people. I think so. What about you, chat? Do you think that's pretty much the standard with creatives? I don't know why did it like this. Should be like that. I like to keep the boxes the same size now, that's why. At least 3 little tiles wide and two tiles tall. So now I've done that, I think we don't necessarily need the extra explanation here. I think we can delete this line. I mean, it depends, because it might be nice to have the extra clarity. So in fact, instead of flashbacks begins, I might actually just say flashback. Just to like highlight that it's all a flashback scene. So like whenever there's something important, like someone joining the party or a quest being unlocked, I tend to put them there before the scene, and that's kind of what I've been doing in my outlines as well. Main quest 1 unlocked, main quest 2 unlocked. Person joins the party, flashback begins, flashback ends. I don't know if I like the exclamation mark there though. So we'll get rid of that. We don't need that there now. So this is scene 3. The next scene, the post flashback scene. And don't forget, folks, you can like follow along with us here because I have it all embedded on the Lore Bible. Exclamation mark, Lore's the command, and it updates in real time. So as you can see, it's already added it here. The next scene as we're doing it. Okay, so I need to get the Trello up because that's the scene tiles in. So this is the task we're working on now. Also, we should delete November now because November's gone. So this is December's jobs, this is January and February's jobs basically. And this is our estimated release date outline plan. Okay, so now we've done that, we can put a tick there, huzzah. You know, I could. Some of these have got ticks there, but could do go because we've still got to edit some. We realised last stream that needs to be a couple of little, just a couple of little potential changes to some of these scenes. So even though there's ticks there, they're not quite done really. Yeah, exclamation mark law. I'm hoping to get some ideas for my comic written down after I'm done with exams so I don't forget them. Awesome. Yeah, and World Anvil's a really good way. And this isn't just for Proto. Like, this is for everyone in the stream, everyone hanging out or lurking. If you're making a story, if you're doing a story, if you're doing anything at all, World Anvil's really cool because you can have the free account and still do a lot on it, and it's a good way to keep your stuff organised. So this is called Carol and Rose 2. This next scene is, I can cross that off now. I don't want to have too many tabs open, so I'm going to cross some stuff off. Carol and Rose Part 2. Okay. So we always start with the green box to describe the scene. So we've already got it written down here anyway, but there's going to be a few little dialogue box additions that need to be made. It's necessary. Right, listen, face Carol. So there's a little bit of extra detail in there, but I don't think we need to add all that. I like to describe the scene just so I know like what positions everybody needs to be in and all those kinds of things. Right, so this is a super short scene, but the scene that comes after is very long. Okay, so I'm gonna just rewrite it up there, because if I just copy and paste that dialog box in the other document, it's gonna go all funny, the formatting. Just checking something. Good. I think that's my favourite thing to do now, just type mumbo jumbo on the keyboard. Alright. I don't know about the word mission. I don't know if that's Carol enough to say. Basically, she's saying, I made it my mission to find where that, what happened to the car, but I'm looking for another word. I guess goal could be better than mission. Or purpose. Purpose, goal, or quest. Quest might sound a bit strange. So, I'm unsure about this dialogue. I mean, part of the monologue is fine, but I don't know about the very first, but it might. I don't know if it sounds like she's overly explaining herself to Rose and the hero. I mean, she doesn't really need to state that, does she? I kind of think we need to show rather than tell. I think I'm thinking that now. Hi Rav, how you doing? It's so good to see you. How is your week going? What is Raindrop Chronicles about? Barrels, smiley face. Yeah, basically, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of depth to it, and obviously, yeah, the barrels are an appeal because they're very unique looking characters, but there's lore, there's all these questions about why they exist and how they feel about existing, and it's very interesting. But if you want to see the actual premise, the lore Bible's here, and there's a little summary on the main page of what's going on here. Bits of the plot, you can read the articles we've got so far. On the website there's a bit of info too. There's some photos and a trailer, and there's also a press kit as well that has a little bit of detailing, like features that the game has and things like that too. So feel free to have a nose if you've got any questions. I started using World Anvil. I can see you've put a ton of work into yours. LOL, mine's so bare bones so far. Awesome, Rav. If you ever want to share yours with us, feel free to send it over or even put it in the Discord and Creative Work. But I feel like mine's bare bones actually at the moment, funnily enough. Because there's not tons in. I'm imagining over time there'll be even more, but it can be pretty hard to keep up, you know, especially when you might also making a game. It's like there's enough list of things to do as it is, but over time, I see, like over years, it will get more full. And I love having a lore Bible because I know this is going to be a lore-rich and story-rich game, so it's a way for the fans of the game and you guys to kind of get all nerdy about it with me. And it's only got some world building now. It's not sure how much I want to add because it would contain spoilers. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. And with Raindrop Chronicles, I've even said a few times that I'm not going to reveal every single plot point that I've got in mind for the story, or even anything that you guys have suggested to me in chat, for example, in the past that I've made notes of. Some of it I might be like, that might, you know, come in handy in a plot point, but I kind of keep it to myself about what elements I might take because I'm making my story skeleton off stream really, and then when it's relevant I chat about it on stream and just reveal the bits that I want to reveal. But there will be little things that are kept undercover as well that will even be a surprise to folks that have been in all the streams when the time comes. Like little surprises and twists along the way, because I want to, you know, I think it's fun to have that, to have even for people involved heavily in what's happening, to still have something to look forward to and to get little surprises. Does World Anvil let you create private content so you can have part of it public? I'm just using the free version right now, so it has limits. I'm actually not sure if they let you have it on private. You might want to join their Discord and ask them, because even if they're not down with that, then maybe they'll consider adding it as a feature. So I'm not 100% sure actually if they do or don't. But I can understand the appeal of wanting it to be private, because it's a really wonderful organisation tool for just yourself, isn't it, as well? But you might not necessarily want people's eyes on there, and that's understandable because it can be a bit risky sometimes. You don't know who's there wanting to nick your ideas, for example. Totally get that. with Raindrop Chronicles, it's obviously impossible to not put it all out there because it's a community-driven project. But if anyone ever copied me, I'd sue him, so. But no, I always feel like this would be impossible to copy because there's so many intricacies that you know, come together to make this story that, you know, nobody could really do it successfully. They'd do a very poor man's version of it, especially because I'm keeping certain plot elements a secret. All the main like big deal things I'll probably keep to myself, like any like real turning points and twists that'll be cliffhangers of episodes and things like that are going to be secret. Cool, yeah, it's pretty amazing what they've done. Love the tutorials they've made for every section. Yeah, and what's so cool about World Anvil is they're not like a mega corp or anything, they're just two people that have made a tool for nerds like us, because they're sort of nerdy themselves. So I like that. I feel a bit weird about, like, you know, subscribing to a service where I didn't if it were a mega corp, because I'm not. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm thinking how to make this dialogue with Carol better. So I'm gonna first of all copy this. Not old version, first draft version of Carol Monologue. Is it a monologue? I guess it sort of is. She's read to herself. All she ever does is talk to herself. No one answers her. I mean, no one can. Rose is can't talk, and the hero only talks when necessary. So right now in this journey, it's literally just Carol. Well, you know, it feels that way. Okay, so I feel like I edited this. I'm going to open my RPG Maker MV project because I feel like I looked at this first draft and felt that something was a bit weird about the first part of it, and I actually did change it, I think. So I'm going to see if I did. I'm going to have a look again. I've got RPG Maker up now, but you can't see because I've got this in the way. Well, let's look. I think it might be in the old project file, so let me open the old project file and see what, because I'm pretty certain I made a couple of changes to that version. Oh, it's gone out of my mind what it was. I made it my thing. Is that what happens when rain goes into the barrels? I swear then I never did that on purpose. Made it my pee. LOL. That was like pure coincidental accident. Oh, I did answer it. Oh my god, I changed it so much. Let's write the second draft. So that's first draft. Let's get the second down, and we'll just compare the two and then make a new and shiny third version, because this is a friggin' important monologue. We got a chance for Carol to have a real Sunday moment here. So I'm gonna get the new updated version of that scene, because I know I knew I redid it. I've I remember very clearly not being entirely satisfied with the first version. It sounded a bit forced to me, which generally can be a thing I find when writing first draft dialogues. It kind of can be a bit wooden and forced, which is fine, because I always have the attitude of you've got to get your thoughts out first. Just get anything on the page. I do like the second part though. It's mainly the first part of this Carol speech that I felt was a little bit not quite right. But I am quite fond of how the second part goes. Let's have a look. So I'm just copying and pasting it all down because it's a bit lengthy. So now I'm going to write the updated version down. In fact, yeah, everything's pretty much the same with the second part. But I just changed to the first part. So let's I made it my P. This is hilarious. Made it my P. I'm gonna leave that there just for the laugh. We'll keep it there for a little bit longer. Okay, so okay, so I think these should be split into different boxes. Yeah, that needs to change tense to she. Because she's not actually talking directly at her. She's talking about her to the hero. Okay, so I wanted it to sound like less that she was, you know, something a bit more natural that kind of showed, you know, how she's what she's done rather than tell. But also the pray thing, I think it's because we had it with the star stuff in the previous scene, so I kind of wanted to again put emphasis on the fact that stars are the gods of Raindrop Chronicles. And then the question springs to mind of, is Carol even religious? That's something to consider too. Let's just review the scene. So the fact that she'd tell Oliver that story tells me she is. But maybe Meryl and Axel are more, maybe they're not, because their view of the story isn't related to the afterlife or anything to that degree. They're more of a non-believer kind of point of view, whereas Hank, now Hank, it's very similar to Carol's idea. It's again, it's almost like it's an afterlife. The stars are the afterlife, like people who have passed on. But Hank sees it as though it's not just anybody, not just any random person that's passed away. It's only the rulers and leaders, like the real legends of the world that the stars are. It's not just somebody's grandma or anything like that. That's what Hank knows. So his story is just an expansion on Carol's, that it's an afterlife. It still doesn't deny Carol's version. She says magical flowers in the fields of afterlife, so she hasn't actually said they're souls or people. But, you know, it could be symbolic. It's a children's version of the tale, you see. So, she says afterlife, though at the end of the day, the fact she'd say that tells me she's religious, because she'd have more of the Meryl perspective, what she calls pish tosh, if she was a non-believer. So that's something to consider, Carol being more of a religious person, whereas Meryl not being. So in that regard, I thought I wanted to kind of add some kind of indication that Carol prays and she believes, and that's what she's been doing. We could even add a bit more detail in here. The stars, just to kind of again make clear that they're the gods. Hi careless handsome flatterer, I'm gonna blush. She believes in barrel Jesus. It's gonna, I tell you what, it's gonna be fun to kind of plan out the gods together as well. And although, like, we've already, there's some kind of like initial skeleton there with them, but it's still very basic and there's a lot to fill in and discuss. But it's fascinating, and I think it's pretty cool, stars being the gods, right? In this world. It's interesting. Okay, so now the question is, does the second draft compared to the third fly well, and does it sound more natural and more like proper speech, and is it Carol-like as well? Is it Carol's tone of voice too? So this is Carol's tone of voice. She loud, hostile, blunt, cynical, exclamation mark, blunt insults, lots of, yeah. Okay, so I think might should get changed to will, because as someone who's stubborn, I think she'd just say will, and she's not like a maybe or a might person. She's a I'm doing that kind of person. Smiley face. Smiley face. How you doing, Vanna? How it works being kind. So all I'm going to do now with this second draft, which I think is much better than the first, just want to make 100% sure that it's Carol-like. It sounds like it's coming from Carol's mouth, and it sounds natural and believable as dialogue, because I feel one thing I need to improve on in regards to my dialogue is make sure it doesn't sound like unnatural or wooden. Obviously you want to make sure it's realistic and flows, and it's always a challenge, I think. Should it be talk or speak? Right, so where actually, yes, but by all mother of things wooden, she can't talk. That's an interesting one. I think she can't speak, which actually does sound better now I think about it. Just sounds correct there. And she's saying useless less blag at the end, which is great, because Carol's typical annoyance comes in at the end. She's kind of like, there's hope there, I guess. She's showing that she has had hope and has hope, but then it's kind of making her realise that, you know, it wasn't meant to be, and it's typical. And that middle bit's kind of there to kind of just clarify that how she's a witness, in case people weren't paying attention to the flashback. Things do happen quite fast in the flashback, although I've tried my best to pace it and break it up with you know, but Carol would rant. She rants, and she, you know, so it kind of would be fitting for her to like clarify that. But yeah, Carol's religious, everyone. Question is, you know, it's an interesting one. Okay, so I thought of something then, but it slipped my mind. Oh yeah, Carol's got good traits. She's got these kind of negative traits, but we realised like the other stream, which is also protective, honest, and a principled person. So if you are a good hero, or play as a good hero, you're more likely to bring that side out of Carol over time as she becomes more used to you. But we kind of can see that anyway, that she's protective, like she's protective of Ollie. But my goodness, if you're not a good hero, she'll be this more than ever. More than likely. So it'd be kind of cool to like split this up a bit more and just say traits that would come out of NPC if you're evil hero, and traits that would come out of an NPC if you're a good hero, because it's what Storm Eagle said a few streams ago, that depending on how you shape your hero, you're bringing the black or the white out of different NPCs. You're seeing different sides of them, because you're having an influence on them too. And I think that's a really key thing, because it's not just about the hero being shaped. Everyone around you is being shaped as well from your actions. Okay, so I think think this is a better version now, so we'll delete that. I love the by mother of all things wooden phrase. It's perfect for a barrel to say. Who is the mother of all things wooden now? I'm thinking really deep now. Alright, I should say, hi Matt, how you doing? It's good to see you. People were laughing, Proto was laughing at the fact that I've had this dialogue box as I made it my P. I've had it open for the last like 30 minutes while I've been doing the draft. But now we can finally replace it. I think it's about getting it right. Carol's how she's feeling. She's desperate, she's frustrated, and she's losing hope. I think if we can get those emotions across without spelling it out, that's how she feels, then I think that's cool. That's why I've added any clue, because I think that shows the desperation better. I feel like deleting that. Since that night I prayed to the stars for a clue that will lead me to them, compared to that. Since that night I prayed to the stars for a clue, any clue that will lead me to them just kind of makes it, adds that bit of extra desperation. She doesn't sound that passionate really without that there. Maybe it's better if the nose is emphasised. But by mother of all things wooden. But by mother of all things wooden, or but by all mother of things wooden. Yeah, I think it's better this way around. Who's looking forward to adding a gods and stars section to our Law Bible, folks? I feel like it's clearly something we've established in the story this early on now, you know, so it'll be cool to like probably do that at some point and get it all even like if it's not, we doesn't need to be like totally fleshed out. There can definitely be mysteries and questions there, but I feel like it'd be a good starting point. And to be honest, I think it's always a good idea to keep the mysteries there and keep it open-ended to a certain degree, because not all our questions will get answered, especially in, you know, the early episodes. Maybe they'll never get answered at all. Some lore parts, you know, are just there, but certain questions might get answered too. Vagabond, thank you so much for that raid. How was your stream? What did you do? Superliminal, I've not heard of that one. What's that one about? Tell us. Tell us what it is. Hope it went well. Okay, so useless flesh bag. I love that. Will Carol ever one day stop saying flesh bag? That's the big question. It's going to be a real change if that time ever comes. I think she will. It's the purpose of her character arc to warm to us eventually. If we're the right hero for her, that is. Okay, so delete that draft now. Now we've got it in. I think this new draft is better than our old one. It's quite much more of an improvement, I think. But if anyone has any thoughts, feel free to say. If anything's like makes you think, hang on, would Carol say that? Feel free to say. Because I'm glad, I actually do agree with Van that speak sounds better than talk, so that's why we changed it. Now, the next part was Rose looking sad. So I'm going to just copy Rose's dialogue box because it's easier. My goodness, look how long that linear flashback scene is. I keep, you know, it bothers me seeing Rose's small sprite in there now. I'm definitely going to prioritise getting all small sprites updated on screenshots, Lore Bible, and on dialogue trees. What am I doing? Why am I going all down here? Oh my god, there we go. Gonna have lunch, gonna bounce. First person puzzle game about perspective. Oh, cool. Oh yeah, you're talking to the devs. That's really cool. And enjoy your lunch. Yeah, take care. Thanks so much for bringing your pizza over. For sure. Appreciate it. What is going on here? I think I broke the there we go, we're back. It's my own fault for dragging the dialogue box down constantly. Okay, so poor Rose. But she doesn't, the way I've directed this scene, it's not, she's actually facing Carol in this scene. So I'm going to say faces away from Carol. I've even said here that you and Rose are facing Carol. So faces away from Carol and look sad. Because she ain't going to show Carol that sad face. Although I don't think Rose is that proud, really. I think it's more of a way for the audience to see that she's sad more than anything, because we wouldn't have been able to see if she continued facing Carol. So the next bit. So Carol carries on talking a little bit more, because Carol doesn't know when to shut up, does she? She talks so much. Like, look at that. Look how much Carol's rambling on and no one else is saying a word. She hasn't learnt from the scene where she joins the hero. This is why the next scene is good when we meet the fruits, because we have a bunch of new characters join. Be introduced, and it's interesting to see how the dynamic changes when Carol's talking to speaking NPCs. Okay, so I'll be glad to see you sacrifice to these monsters we're about to meet. Because I figured it's having that there not only, again, emphasises Carol's dislike of Rose and humans, and not really having any sort of empathy or being a selfish, angry person. I mean, it successfully does that, but it also helps remind the player that that's what we're doing at the moment, because because we kind of got sidetracked and we had the decent side flashback scene, and it could be easy to kind of lose track of what we actually were doing in the quest, which is sacrifice Rose to the monsters. That was the mission Fiona Buckington gave us. And it, we might need a reminding a little bit, because it was a few scenes ago now when we got that quest. So that kind of is just the reminder as the scene ends and we are free to walk again and have control. That is what we're doing, and that sets us up for the next quest, where we actually do meet these monsters. I mean, they are kind of monsters, so I don't know if I should do that, but they're not the typical monsters you'd expect, right? Certainly subverts expectations to a certain degree. So okay, so I am going to get this last Rose dialogue box in, but there is something that is very important to add in this scene. Normally this scene would have finished and ended right here, as soon as Carol's like, I'll be glad to see, because I think that's the perfect ending, because we know what our quest is and what our objective is then. We're reminded of that before we carry on. But there is something very important to add, which I'll mention in a sec. First of all, I'm going to just put in looks angry. So Rose goes from sad to angry. I think there's a lot of anger inside Rose too. Her and Carol might have more in common than one thinks. Okay, so as for what is very important to add to this scene in case people are curious, well, I'll remind you in a minute. This scene's it is much shorter than the others though. It's kind of this scene with Carol and Rose part 2 and the first one, Carol and Rose part 1, are kind of the sandwich of the fill-in. They're like sandwich the flashback. So with this scene, its purpose was really just to conclude where everyone stands in regards to that flashback we've just seen. Because we never had the opportunity in the first part to have Carol rage much. It was just like the opportunity for Carol to recognise Rose. But this is the opportunity for her to lash out at Rose. Okay, so as for what needs adding, well, let me just remind you that not here, that's not it. This. Okay, so we know that Carol did ask to have a little peek of the lucky charm that you pick for yourself at the start of the game in the custom hero creator. If you want to read the document, folks, you can if you haven't seen it yet. It's literally here in the general ideas discussion in Discord. It's just a 5-page document of a couple of narrative and mechanical additions to the game that are related to what we're about to add. So yes, the fact is that you as the hero, like, you've been silent in this scene, right? You've not said a word. You're just listening to Carol and you're listening to Carol ramble on, and Rose is kind of just not really doing much. But you as a hero, I think, in your point of view, in your head right now, you've just realised that you have been in this cart before, and you have an item that belongs. You've connected the dots, to put it simply. You've realised that you know Carol's family. Well, you don't know them, but you've been there, and you actually have a possession of theirs. You didn't know that before, because you didn't even know that these on the cart were even linked to Carol at all. But now we're seeing the flashback, you know. So you had the opportunity to confess, but it's not going to work, not at this point in time anyway. So, where is it? Okay, so maybe you get the chance to tell Carol the truth each time she asks if she can peek. Yeah, okay, so maybe when the hero first realises the connection after Carol's flashback, during her monologue, which is basically this now, you can either try to butt in or say nothing. And I think, you know, I think this scene needs a hero choice. That's for sure. So you'll either try to butt in, but when you butt in, it doesn't work. I mean, you might be playing as a really good hero, and you might think, well, I want to be honest. I want to tell Carol that I've got Oliver's ribbon, or Meryl's bra, or Vera's party. Like, you might want to be honest. Plenty of players would want full honesty, but at this point in time, it's not possible for Carol to know, because it'll ruin the scene that comes next. So for plot reasons, she's gonna tell you to shush and not even give you the opportunity to butt in. What program are you using there to add the dialogue options? Draw.io, Rav. It's very basic, it's free, and it can be a bit temperamental sometimes, but I still like it best because it's simple. It doesn't have any extra fluff, and I kind of like it. It's very easy as well to get them embedded into World Anvil without much fuss too. So, oh cool, yeah. Yeah, they're pretty, aren't they? I'm pretty proud of my flyers. Okay, so we've got to figure out the perfect moment to butt in then now. Okay, so she knows where it's funny because as Carol's like raging at Rose knowing this information and not being able to speak, the hero is probably thinking, well, I know, because you do. You got the blooming item on you that belonged to one of them. So this would be the time. In fact, it would be after. I'd say it'd be here. So I think it's good to give the opportunity to show that Rose is saddened by Carol calling a useless flesh bag and not being able to speak. But I want to keep this part at the end of the scene because it's the kind of reminder to the player that what your quest and next objective is. So that'll stay there. So we'll put it in the middle. I think that's a good spot. So what we'll do, which bit should we copy? Yeah, we'll copy this because the format of this dialogue box is probably close to what we're doing for this one. So I don't think this will affect your affinity with Carol because she'll actually be more annoyed with you if you try to interrupt, but of course it would give you compassion because it's pretty it a -2 and we'll put it a +2 and -2 compassion for now. I think it's the fact that you're owning up and confessing to something would give him more than 1 point, but because it's not like an actual action, like pushing Rihanna in the lake, it might not be as much as +5. So let's just get the okay, so what does our document say? So say nothing or try to butt in. Okay, so the say nothing one's pretty easy. You'd probably just, it would be the same as how it is here. Nothing. Or just ... yeah. In fact, there could be a little slight action here. Looks at Lucky Charm in pocket. In fact, because that's obviously not, the action's not part of the choice, I'm going to put that on a separate box. So we'll do it like this. Let's move these across. Sort of use the green boxes for the hero actions. That's what we were doing in the scene here. You, okay, so you I think you've obviously got to turn away because Carol might see it otherwise. So this is kind of, we might have it as an action where you actually see, say if it's Meryl's pink bra, it would like poke out a bit, or whatever item it is, we could make it visually poke out for a little split second or a short moment, but it's ultimately going to lead to this choice. So we said to try to butt in, so what's some butting in dialogue? Well, this is a challenging one to pull off. Maybe something like that. And I feel like you should be speaking directly to Carol, because it affects her. Okay, so obviously things are gonna happen differently. If you say nothing, then it'll just lead to this part. So just move this across just for, because we might need to fit an extra dialogue box in. So she'd be like, say something like, Carol being a typical self will tell you to shush. So she said shush before. Is shush a line of a common phrase that she uses? It's not here, but I'm curious if she's ever said something to that degree before. We'll just put that there for now, but let's have a look and see if she said. I mean, shush, quiet, hush, you, oi, shut up. That could be another one. It depends what kind of how Carol would tell people to shut up. I mean, there's many ways. We could have shush, we could have be quiet, we could have shut up, we could have you know, there's many different ways, and I think we got to think of Carol's personality here, like what a good one would be for her. Hi Cappy, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a good day. Hope things are good on your end. Looking at Carol's common phrases. I think shut up is it's a very rude one, but I feel like be quiet's too is a bit too polite for Carol. Because she says hush there. Actually, hush might be good then for Carol. Shut up, like, feels like it could be Carol-like, but it also might not be. There could be another NPC that would be better saying that. Like a really horrible one. I mean, we don't want to make Carol too hateable. She's still endearing, so... I'm... or speaking. Shut your yap, or shut your yap trap. Yeah, that could... actually, something like that. It's getting the balance, isn't it? Where it's clearly very aggressive, but in an endearing way almost. And I mean, I'm even thinking hush you sounds a bit flirty. So that's why I was like, I don't know about that one, because she did say it over here. She was like, oh, well, that is, oh, hush. But that's because she was embarrassed at that moment in time. She was blushing because of the hero's flirty tone with her in that response. So I think she'd only get like that, like start going, oh hush, if like she was warming to you a little bit, and definitely she's not warming to you here, so she'd probably say, you yap trap. I like that. I like yap trap. I guess that is making me think now of from a barrel perspective. How would she see because she still has a mouth like a normal human, so she can't have something unique to humans here. But I do like Yap Trap. It's just amusing, so I'm gonna put that one there. But I am kind of now interested in different sort of insults to do with being a chatterbox or talking. Shut your gob's another one, but that's very British, isn't it? Is gob a British word? Shut your gob. Has anyone heard that one before? It's a British, Australian, New Zealand and Irish slang. Yeah, I don't know if you guys across the pond that are here would know that one. Shut your gob. I can imagine an NPC saying that, but probably not Carol. Probably someone else that's a little bit more, little bit more crude, perhaps. So shut your Yap Trap. I'm the one who is speaking here. Why is this? Yeah, that's it. It's centered now. Typical Carol to be like, I'm the one who's speaking. And it's shot her in the foot because she could... It makes me frustrated at Carol in a really hilarious way, because if she wasn't so bossy, the hero would have owned up right then and there, you know. And that's what's just so funny, because she's going through all this stress. She's moaning so much. She's going through all this unnecessary stress when there's already a solution to it, the hero. But he's not even able, or they or she, to get a word in edgeways, because Carol's just so bossy and mouthy and the fruit scene, everything's unfolding there, you know. Rose is doing the painting in the next scene, and Carol's really getting all excited about it and carried away, and it's like the hero this whole time actually knows where the wagon is. I mean, it could have very well have moved, because chances are he was just there at that moment in time when he found it at a certain time, but it probably did move on more than likely. It's probably not really no longer in that spot. But that's ultimately what probably would lead us to the farmlands, right? Because in the end, the hero would confess that they were there. But Carol was there too. She knows that the farm was where she lost them, so it kind of would make sense to go back to the place where it all happened. But the hero just has a little bit more detail on where it was taken, so they could be of more help. Hi Gretch, how you doing? So good to see you. Definitely British. Hi Rose. Yeah. What's the phrase? Shut your gob. I would type it in chat, but people might think I'm telling chat to shut their gob, and I will worry to that. Okay, so there we go. So you look at your lucky charm, and just to specify, guys, if you haven't clicked what the lucky charm is, the lucky charm is an item that belongs to one of the containers that you'll get your hands on before you even meet Carol. You'll get asked that question in the custom hero creator, what's your lucky charm, and it's one of the items that belong to one of the barrels. So that is really why you know, it's really important information. Carol should know about this, right? But she's not even. She's so silly that she's not even letting you tell her the truth. But it's going to be interesting how this unfolds, because if you did pick this option, you could always say to Carol, look, I did try to tell you, but you didn't listen, so don't be blaming me. But if you will go for this one, yeah, you've got no defence when it all comes out, I guess. And shut your gob, is that it? That's it, Van. Shut your gob, G-O-B. Shut your cork, Carl. That's a good one as well. I could imagine someone very poetic using that one. I don't know. Would Nigel Buckington say shut your cork, Carl? To be honest, I couldn't imagine him ever being so aggressive or hostile to people. But, you know, different personalities use different words, don't they? And I want to really make the most of that as much as possible, which is why we have a big sheet now of most common phrases that characters use. I love how Hank's just got ho 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 in his. I'm sure we can always add over time on these. You know, I'm always going to keep it open while we're working on dialogue, so we can refer to it and stay consistent. So that would lead, I suppose, nothing. I think that's it. The dialogue would just carry on. And we could even say faces Rose. She faces you here. Just so we can make it flow. And be clear who she's talking to. And that she is dismissing the hero because she faces him and then looks away back at Rose again. So it's kind of like showing that you're dismissed. Shut your trap, hero. But with this one, like, you know, it all just carries on. You know, the monologue that Carol was going on, the rambling she was doing here will just, it's all just the same as it was before. So she doesn't need to face the hero in this one and face Rose again, because she was already facing Rose anyway. And she didn't get interrupted by you, so thank you, Miss Come Up, for that follow. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? And Rex says, well, only because I think holes in the sides of barrels can be plugged with a cork, and the barrel's mouths are on the side of them. Oh, yeah. That could be the perfect thing that a person could say to a barrel when they want the barrel to shut up then. Like, you could say that as the hero to Carol at some point. I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunity to. You know, because Carol very much doesn't shut up, so I'm gonna have to make a note of that one. It's always good to think of good barrel insults that are very light-hearted and funny, and vice versa too. Perfect. I'm sure our hero I'll look forward to being able to have that as a dialogue choice, because we haven't had the opportunity to just yet. But there'll be a time when it's perfect, and we can be like, shut your cork, Carol. Or even another NPC could say it as well, a speaking NPC that, you know, another party member. I mean, it's totally whatever fits, right? Or both. Can be a thing everyone says to Carol. Good morning, Rose. How are you doing, Artifacts? Welcome back to the stream. How are things? I hope your workmates are being nice and better than they were last time. How are things on your end? I'm just thinking, would this look a bit tidier if it was a bit lower down? How have we done in the past when it involves dialogue branches? So I kind of do it keeps it clearer that it's only part of that branch then, so I might keep it a little bit higher up, because then it kind of looks like it's part of the original conversation. So I do have +2 compassion and -2 compassion as the moral changes from that decision. And as you know, folks, we do have more than just the compassion on the moral system scale. We also do have cowardly and brave, and foolish and wise. And I feel like this choice could affect those too, right? Because let's be honest. Also, I think we can cross this off now. Let's cross that off. Move that delta there. You're being quite brave picking that top one, and you're being a blooming coward picking that one. I don't know whether it's foolish and wise is a little bit, because I don't necessarily think you're wise for picking that one either, because it could massively backfire on you for all you know. And same for that, you're not necessarily foolish. So I don't think this affects the foolish and wise scale, but I do feel like it affects the cowardly and brave scale. So I do want to add brave, because it is, to face that barrel and be so honest, is pretty brave. But you know, I feel like because this naturally looks like the good option, because you're getting plus points in your brave and compassion, I feel like most players would want to play that naturally if they don't want to play an evil hero. You know, maybe you should lose out in another way, like you should lose some Carol affinity, I don't know here, but she does get quite mad at you for interrupting, so it could work that for being honest you do unfortunately lose some Carol affinity. Whereas if you kept quiet, your affinity isn't affected negatively because you've kind of known your place. But it could change things though. Like you might have lost your affinity with Carol right now for interrupting, but in the long run you might gain the affinity when Carol realises that actually you did try and be honest and it was her fault for not letting you continue speaking. You might gain it back at that point. We don't know, but you might. So I feel like we should say it's like, are you willing to have a bit more of a rocky relationship with Carol for being honest for the time being? A frustrated morning, damn it. So I took our issues to our professor and suggested a team meeting. So we had a team meeting this morning. There was a whole lot of awkward silence and dead air whenever I asked how people felt we should tell the remainder of the assignment. Oh dear. That just sounds annoying. You've got my sympathies, artifacts. You deserve better. I think we need to set Carol on them, don't you? I think we need to get Carol the Barrel into that office so she can tell him some truths and insults. Was this? Yeah, that's the brave one. Oh, we don't word it as coward, do we? We just have -2 brave and then put the cowardly emoji. Awesome, that was a much necessary, needed addition to this scene. And I've used the black boxes for this choice. Some choices are in grey boxes, and that's because I feel like this one's got more potential ramifications and consequences, so because it can come back. It'll come back in the future, this one, once Carol finally does find out, and it can affect your relationship with her. Hi Triakis, how you doing? Oh, my new Daniel looks adorable. Yeah, look. He's very vampire-ish, and he looks very dapper as well, doesn't he? Oh, that was important to me because my goal was to be as loyal as possible to the original sprites, and keep their sort of style as much closely as possible. And obviously switching to taller, that made it a challenge because there's way more detail in the clothing now, but he's definitely got that dapper noble look going on, hasn't he? I'm glad you like him. Looks even more like a secret relative of Rose. Yeah, for sure. I might have done that a bit on purpose. It's great because there's going to be a plot, a bit of a plot part in the story, where Rose has a doppelganger with Legmog's character, who's literally looks the same as Rose except has shorter hair and green clothes instead of red. And it's going to be funny when she meets Daniel, because after experiencing that doppelganger, she's going to be very wary of anyone that looks like her ever again. She'll be like, yeah, not another one. Going well. I hope it's going well for you too. As I said before, I'm more than okay with you taking creative liberties with him. I literally designed him to give you interesting options for the story, yeah. And I'm glad that you say that, Daniel, because Daniel, what about calling you Daniel? That's weird. I'm glad you say that, Try, because that's what it's all about. You know, this project needs, the characters do need to be set free to us, as me and the community as a whole, once they've been made, so we can have as much creativity as possible with them. That's why I kind of say that in your form, make sure you say anything that's 100% necessary to your character, that you fit, that is important to you, because anything that's not in the form, we have the rest of the control of what happens to them. I am Daniel Raven now, apparently. Lol. Yeah, he's awesome. Okay, so I hope you're doing well though, Try. I hope everything's going well. And yes, it's been fun to change, to have that visual change of sprites. I think it'll only pay off in the long run. It fits more with the game, for sure. Okay, so I don't think there's anything. I think that's literally, I wanted to go over it, double check there's nothing we've missed, but I think that's literally that scene done. That was the only addition we needed to add to this scene. So the next scene, I mean, we could do with adding this to the outline. This choice part really could do with going here. I don't think there was any other choices other than that one, was there? There was none in the Carol flashback, because it's a flashback scene. And we did add... Oh, we haven't added the... Oh, we did, didn't we? Yeah, we did. But we didn't add that. So there's definitely a few more choice boxes to add to this main outline. I can't forget that. Because this sheet's super important to be able to keep track of all them choices, so they will need adding. Okay. And I've even added a law thingy now, because I'll be doing that too. Whenever there's ever a scene with significant law mentioned, I'm going to add that to the outline. And that'll just keep us informed of what law Bible pages will probably need doing as well. And we'll have world building streams where we build that law properly together and flesh it out. And I think there'll be one coming up. I think it'll be cool to have a stars law stream soon. And stars are the gods. We'll just state that. So it's a big law point. So the next, we've only got scene 4 and 5 to add to the law Bible now. We get in there. It's a slow process adding scenes. It's a good job that we don't have about a bazillion quests in episode 1, isn't it? Because we would be here until I'm an old lady. But yes, so we are only having 6 quests in episode 1, so we're a third of the way through. And the first playable build is only going to have main quest 1 and 2 in it. So we've kind of got an outline now of when we'll be working on the other quest stuff. So feel free to have a peek on our Trello page. Right, so yeah, you can see this in the Law Bible now. It's all updated and in there. Wow, look at how small that one looks compared to the old one because of that long scene with Carol's companions. Generally, main quest 1 has much shorter scenes. This is going to get even longer because the next scene, scene 4, is like even longer than the flashback scene with the fruits. So, but that's the next one we're doing. I don't know if we've got time to begin it now. Hi, Looking Glasses. Hello, Rose and chat. How are things going, Looking Glasses? I hope you're okay. I had a P4 eardrum that was out of action for a while, but I'm healed. Oh no, ear problems suck. I used to have ear issues, especially when I was younger. Used to suffer a lot with ear infections and earaches as well. And I never get my ears in water ever. Out of fear that I'll have an earache. So I hope, yeah, I'm glad it's healed. That's good to hear. It's never good. It's never good to be poorly. Alright, folks, so let me just think of what's ahead for us. We finished main quest 3, didn't we? We'll put a conclusion to that. So we can add a tick now to that being done. So we got one humongous scene to embed in the Law Bible, and then we are finally where we left off once we've done that, because scene 5 is the point where we don't know what's going to happen next entirely. So it'll be fun to go into main quest 2 scene 5 and actually write it together. And that's where it's going to stop, because there's not going to be no main quest 3 stuff until playable build 0.2. But of course, we're definitely going to have the outlining streams where we kind of have a plan, a sort of idea of the events that will happen and what the scenes will be in Main Quest 3, but we won't be jumping into any dialogue until that builds out. And yeah, that will be the opportunity to really think of the NPCs that are living there as well then, and insert the NPCs and their daily routines and all that kind of thing too. Because the first playable build's going to not have any really people in the village really. It's mainly for the purpose of experiencing the first 2 quests and fighting some battles probably as well, because we'll need to add that part to the as well, but that's not priority till the new year. So I'm trying to think what the goals are now, because I'm doing the custom hero creator, as some of you know. I'm doing a revamp of it, so that revamped custom hero creator is what I'm working on off stream. I did do it on stream last stream, but I'm going to do the rest of it off stream so that we can focus on the story side of things. And the other thing I gotta do, other than the custom hero creator off stream, is, like I said earlier, add all the tall sprites into the lore Bible and on every single screenshot, and, you know, replace the small rose sprites here as well with the tall rose sprites. So it's really those 2 main tasks for me off stream. But as for on stream, I think for at least the next week, I can't see this going on for more than a week. Getting Main Quest 4 and 5 finalised, going over those things. We've already done scene 4, but we might want to go over it, make sure it's all good, and we're happy with it, and then it'll be just writing scene 5 and deciding what happens. And we got an outline for scene 5, but like I said, we haven't started any of the dialogue for it yet. And I need to do the scene cards for all the scenes as well, so I'll do that. I might do that off stream, because it can be quite, need the focus mode with the scene cards. And ear problems suck. There's very little you can do to relieve the pain like you can with external injury other than medication. Yeah, I think out of everything I've ever had, like any illnesses, like in regards to having the flu or food poisoning or anything at all that's not pleasant, I'd still say earaches are the worst. They're worse than headaches as well, by a long way. Things are going well, thanks. How are you, Rose? Things are going good. Looking Glasses, the stream has gone super fast, I'll say that. It's flying by as always. And thankful for antibiotics. I have no idea how things would have been for them. And yeah, the awkward thing with me is I'm allergic to penicillin, so, and I don't even like the replacement antibiotics that are given to me, mainly because I just don't react well to them. I'm usually sick and bomb. So luckily for me, I don't get ill that much, so I'm okay. I just read the new FAQ and I love the answer to will I get more control over the project to support financially? Question you tell them, lol. Yeah, it's very blunt and honest, the answer to that one. I want to remind myself of what I said. Let's look. But I remember it being blunt and honest. Oh look, Christmas Google lights. Because it's December now. No, Rose will not become a puppet for someone because they donated money. A puppet. Contributing monetarily should only be done because you think what she's did is worth investing your money into. Yeah, because believe it or not, it can happen where viewers get entitled. And well, I've experienced that in the past, even before I started this project. Well before I started the project, before Raindrop Chronicles even existed, there'd be people in the stream that would give like a lot of monies to me, bits and all that, but then became extremely controlling. You know, I think it's something a lot of content creators and streamers in general might, you know, have be forced to experience time and time again. So I can't be bothered with dealing with all that anymore. So straight out, that is your answer. And I've kind of dropped in and out multiple times over the years now, but I've noticed attempts to control you happen a few times. Super weird. I think you were streaming like DDLC or something maybe when I first found you, and even then I noticed some being a share. Well, in fact, when I played Doki Doki Literature Club, the person that was most active in my stream during that time is the one person I would go as far as saying is the most disturbing individual I've ever met online before. So luckily they're not around anymore because I banned them. But that was like back in 2017. So it was quite a long time now. End of 2017, wasn't it? When I played Doki Doki Literature Club. I remember them. Yeah. For sure. Okay. Why is it so late already? It's nearly 6:10. Look at that panda. But yeah, I kind of like just tell people to get lost now. Like someone again, like about 2 months ago, tried to get like that with me. Not as bad, not quite as bad as it was with that other person, but there were like little signs, similar behaviour patterns, and I just banned them without like any second chance because I'm just over that now. I'm a busy person working on a very, very busy project, and that needs all my time. Not drama, not silly drama. People pleasing seems way lower on your agenda. Yeah, used to be a habit of mine 2, 3 or 4 years ago. I think naturally, especially when you're like new to content creation and like you're just starting streaming for the first time, you do want to like make sure everyone's happy, and you're obviously very grateful for anyone that comes in and supports, and you know, even like subscribes or donates to the stream. That's very flattering, and you kind of feel like you owe them in a way. It's bad. It's like totally not acceptable that no one owes anyone anything. So it's just all like when you're new to doing something and you're more naive, and it's a very different world to what you become in the end over time as you get used to the world of content creation. Your patience runs out over time. And I've been going to start on YouTube and Twitch for about 8 years now. Oh really? What stopped you? I believe it. What do you believe, Van? I forgot what I even said already. What the specifics were. Alright guys, so I'm gonna see if there is anyone online for us today. Should we put a trivia in chat though? Exclamation mark trivia. It's a new month, so I've got to reset the Streamlabs leaderboard actually. Let's do that now. Oh, Stream Elements leaderboard, should I say. And we're just going to log into Stream Elements. So I'm not going off yet guys, we can chat a bit longer because it's going to take a bit of time for me to remember how to do this. The type of people that can be found on chat on Twitch, yeah, and you got to be careful. I'll tell you this because it's not always apparent. It's not always very obvious that someone's bad or manipulative or toxic. In fact, I've found that the people that actually are the most toxic and manipulative come across as the kindest people. But they need to show themselves as that, because they know that if they don't have that side, they'll just be banned without even hesitation. So they have to be kind so that you find it difficult to remove them. You know, because if they're horrible through and through, then, you know, it's just an easy decision then, isn't it, to ban them. Perfectionism, frankly, like, I might get it wrong, and if I don't do it, then I can't get it wrong. Oh yeah, you know, that's a hard one. I can kind of relate, because I used to be similar, but I got over it, because I have the attitude now that, like, you can't be perfect at everything, especially when you're doing something now. You know, it's almost impossible to be perfect at something first. You gotta kind of go easy on yourself as well. And just do it. Don't hold yourself back. Gonna happen, and I'm glad to be a little older and wiser. 26 now rather than 19. I think I'm more prepared for what might come my way. It can be a bit scary, the internet, so I don't blame you for being cautious. But sometimes you just don't want to miss an opportunity to do something new in life as well. People are brave, stupid and cruel because they aren't standing in front of the person or standing in front of the rest of us looking at them. Yeah, it's much easier on the internet to be a bad person because there's no real consequences to it. It's not like these people are going to get thrown into jail or anything, or their face is not even shown. The people I know that were like that were very, very secretive about who they were, and they tended to not want to show pictures of themselves. Or not that it's bad to not want to do that, because I can totally get why someone wouldn't want to show themselves selfies on the internet. I know if I wasn't streaming, I'd kind of probably be like that. But these people are like that in a very weird, like, sly way almost. And I was convinced that the one person back in the day was a catfish. So that would be a reason to not show yourself if you're a catfish. Was actually considering doing a VTuber kind of thing a while back. Yeah, that's like a thing now. I've noticed a few. I can get the appeal because you don't need to bother, do you? Then you don't have to be up on the camera, and that can be a little bit anxiety inducing and distracting as well. So let's reset the leaderboard. Van once again is a Lore Master at the month, but Rex and Kung are narrowing the gap a little. Not showing my face while streaming, but having a modern tracked avatar instead, a vampire guy. Yeah, you should do it, I dare you. Okay, so trivia. Oops, missed a letter out. What are the fruits in when you first meet them? It likes this question, doesn't it? It's a basket. Eventually though, especially as we flesh out the Lore Bible, we'll add more questions to this. You know, this trivia thing is going to just get expanded on over time. The list of questions right now isn't very large. There we go. Yes, it does. Hee hee hee. Okay, folks. I'm gonna see who's on first. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. It's been awesome. I'm going to send us over to a friendo who haven't spoken to in a while. Pleb. I'm going to send us over to their stream today. They're playing Red Dead Redemption 2, which is always a game that's been on my list of games to play because I like those kind of games. But haven't got around to it. Raiding time indeed. So yes, guys, here's the raid. Here's the raid button. If you've, put your own emojis there. Rose Rainblood. You can also just say hi as well if you'd like to. Or say whatever you want in the stream. It'd be wonderful if you can take part and say hi to Epleb. And I met Epleb in RL as well at TwitchCon back in 2018. There we go then, guys. I will see you on Friday and we'll be doing more awesome stuff. Thanks for being fabulous. Had a fun stream. It's fun to do the dialogue streams and just ramble on about the lore and characters as we do it. So more of that next time. Talking more about the fruits next time. Take care, everybody. Thanks for being amazing.